I rented this Epiphone Les Paul Special Satin E1. We're gonna find out if it's any good. This video is not like other videos where, you know, they talk for 7.5 minutes and then only play the guitar for about 1.5 minutes. There's also gonna be multiple videos with this guitar, so keep an eye out for them. We're gonna be playing through multiple amps with multiple different tunings, so I recommend taking a look at the chapter markers down below, and as always, signal chain is in the description. Enough talking, let's get after it. Now, it just wouldn't be a guitar review if we don't quickly go over the specs, so I'm going to try and do this where it's not nauseating. We start out with a slab poplar body. Now, when I say slab, I mean it's kind of like half a Les Paul. It has the regular back of the body of a Les Paul. However, the carved top, which is always a separate piece, is just not on here. We then move on to the neck, which is bolted on. This is a mahogany neck in a slim taper D shape. So what that means is it's like a slim taper, but slightly thicker. So it gives it a little more stability. The tuners here are very flimsy and require a little bit, almost like a quarter turn for it to actually grab the strings sometimes. These are the premium closed tuners. We then have the Epiphone and the Les Paul model silk screened on the headstock. The fretboard, which is unbound, is either Akume or a different type of rosewood, depending on when you bought it. It also has the dot inlays. The pickups here are rather hollow sounding, but you can make that work, not an issue. You can definitely dial things in really well with an amp. But we have the 700T and the 650R from Epiphone. The bridge is the Epiphone Locktone Tune-o-matic with a stop bar. Fair warning, the moment that you start to adjust the intonation here, which you generally will have to, you're going to start to get buzzing. And of course, we have one volume and one tone with a 3-way toggle switch. So you don't get to use that little trick where you put it in the middle position and then dial back the neck volume to like half or so, and you can kind of get a little bit of a sweeter lead tone doing it that way. I've been doing that quite often if it needs it, if the bridge or the neck just doesn't work. That's my little trick, but you can't really do it with this guitar. And of course, we did say that this is satin, so it is finished in satin. This is a little different feeling than this. This is a little softer than this. This is not rough by any means, but this feels like paper. This feels a little different. And yes, I'll be doing a comparison between both of these. That's basically the specs. Here's 5 more sound samples. Now, to appease some of the commenters who just get very upset and wet their clothes if you don't play clean with bridge, middle, and then of course neck, here you go. Personally, I've always found a little more benefit to see how, the pickups actually react to a little bit of gain, maybe a little bit of drive. So here's that. This is also hand soldered with unnamed pots. They're not Gibson or Epiphone pots. They're like 10-cent pots. But they're pretty good. Let's listen to them. Okay, so now that we've actually heard all of the different sound samples, you heard some metal, don't worry, and you heard the clean, you heard the breakup or drive, then you've heard the potentiometers. Let's talk about the guitar, because honestly, that's probably what you're here for, other than hearing the guitar. So, is this a good guitar? Yes, this is a good guitar for your first guitar, or your second guitar, or if you're a part of the modding community. This is a great buy if you're part of the modding community. It does, like the SG Special Satin E1, it does kind of have that I'm a Chinese Jackson feel to it, with a, Epiphone spin. So a lot of people do buy those Jacksons just to mod them, and they do tend to have a little bit of mojo and a little bit of magic in them. This guitar here, I do find inspiring. I'm able to come up with different riffs, and I'm not pushing myself to do them. So it's got a little bit of mojo and inspiration in it. But we do have to look at some of the flaws. This being designed to be your first or second guitar, or your first real guitar, the pickups are rather lacking. Like I said, they are a little hollow sounding. There's no accentuation of any of the frequencies. It does seem like there's a hole in the mids, or where the mids should be, without it sounding scooped. Again, you can make it work for you just by dialing in your amp a little different, but it does make it harder if you have another guitar where it doesn't have those issues with the frequencies. You got to go back and adjust. It's not that big of a deal. But pickups, probably second on the list for most people who are part of the modding community. Next up, we got to talk about the tuners here. They're flimsy, and oftentimes, I shouldn't say all the time, but oftentimes, just like on the SG Special Satin E1, I'm going to be doing a comparison on that with this, it does usually require almost like a quarter turn before it starts to actually move the string. And like I said, they're rather flimsy, so you know what, you can invest a little bit of money in tuners. That would probably be my first go-to. I'd probably look into some Grovers or even those Wilkinsons, but probably Grovers or Clousons, just because there's a little more weight to them and it feels like they're a little more stable. Good news, the bolt-on neck, the bolt-on part doesn't really get in the way. You know that it's a bolt-on neck, but it's not restricting in any way. The frets are very clean, very well leveled as well, so you don't have any sharp fret ends or anything like that they have to worry about. The next area of concern to me is the bridge. But again, this is all normal. This is not a $500 or $600 guitar where you have to look at it and go like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? This is your first or second guitar, or again, part of the modding community, you're gonna be replacing this. This is one of those, you're going to play the guitar and deal with the buzzing just a little bit, it's not a big deal. So the moment that you start to adjust the intonation, you can kind of feel the lack of sturdiness in the saddles to where, you know, eventually if you continuously had to adjust your intonation for whatever reason, the saddle might get stripped. So yeah, just the moment you adjust the intonation, it gets buzzy and it just invest in a new bridge. But other than that, this thing plays really well. For the price, this is a great guitar. If you look at things, I believe it's Epiphone's version of the Les Paul Tribute. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, you're looking at things here and taking the maple cap off of the Tribute, they would be the same size. Of course, we do have the pick guard on here, and there's no pick guard here. I'm a pick guard guy, so that's, you know, I wouldn't mind like a cream or a black pick guard on this. But that's, I believe, what's going on here, because this is the Tribute is Satin Nitro, so there's definitely a different feel to it. But, you know, that's kind of the way that things are going. So I'll probably do a comparison between this, and I also have the DC Special Tribute from Gibson that I might do a comparison with. But my final thoughts here, great guitar, plays really well, inspirational, got some mojo and magic in it. So if this is your first guitar, your second guitar, or you're thinking of buying this guitar, it's a good deal. It's a great price, and you know what? You can either just forgive some of its very few shortcomings, or you can invest a little more money in it. Invest an extra $110 and get a new bridge and get new tuners, and this will be a great guitar. Thanks for watching.